episode 39. Bink. Cheers, y'all. Bink. Steven, will you add the sound of glass hitting glass right at that bink right there every time I say bink? Great.
I'll add a good cartoon.
Anything you can do. This is the day. This will post the day of our anniversary for King Leo D&D. This will be on September 19th, 1 year after our first video posted, which is really cool. We've been through a lot. We've done a lot of fun things. We went to a Renaissance fair. We recorded 39 episodes of Dungeons and Dragons. We've seen the development of very unique characters and solved a really big problem for a really big city. And man, it's just been a ton of fun. I really enjoyed this and I appreciate all of y'all. It's just been really cool to do this, and I appreciate y'all being along for this and putting all the energy and effort that you have been able to make your characters feel so real and have their own individual personalities and everything too. The story has just been really great. In addition to that, person A, congratulations. Person B, congratulations. We have 2 winners of the Adventure Tome from Stevens Woodworks. So
Hank and Glenn Troutman.
So those will be posted on Twitter and YouTube. Comments will get in touch and do a thing to make sure that we can get those sent to you. But congratulations on winning. And with that too, we'll be sure to get all the information out and have our official anniversary episode coming out next week, where we'll actually announce who those people are and all of that too. Time is weird. Welcome to D&D. That's it for announcement stuff right now that I know of. So, to recap last episode, Lorelith is off in the woods having a moment to herself, making her own camp with Strokoff and just being so meditative and quiet and thinking and processing in the way that she needs to right now with where she's at. Thelon had some time and space to meditate out on the lake before coming back into the city and running into Pilgrim, who was looking to rally some people. Gwendolyn searched for Lorelith a bit, but then once she got to a spot where she was close enough, she thought better of it and just waited to give Lorelith some space, and then went back into the city and is working through the purchasing of Grenjan's home before regrouping with the party. Thule had a little conversation with Misery that ended in Misery fashion of him just not paying attention and leaving. And she's got herself a new side gig, being a guard for the city of Populous. And then as the party did regroup with Pilgrim, seeing Treya Lalarian, an elven woman who takes high importance in the city, called the group together to meet in a back room of Ocean's Deep Goblet, where she had many accolades and appreciations and stuff to shower the group with, as well as a couple different propositions, one being that the government could take over the rebuilding of the Isero place, as well as a potential job that would be leaving in 10 days' time, or around then generally, to head to Dustforge to provide safety and protection for Treya on her travels, and that travel would be completely covered and taken care of on that trip as well. The party agreed to both, and she headed out, leaving the party, those that are available to meet, leaving them in this meeting room of Ocean's Deep with half a bottle of wine left and another bottle to come. For those that are here, if anything, any debrief or conversation as the 4 of you sit processing all that just happened.
So where are we sleeping tonight?
I believe that Gwen has a home, right?
What?
Yes. First, though, that was awesome. That was cool, you guys. That's not even my voice, I'm sorry. I think, so there's like an Enneagram in D&D where like instead of like transitioning to whatever number, Gwen transitions to Thule when she's excited. So that's
I picture Enneagram 7.
Yeah. Enneagram Thule. That's what this is. we did really well. Well, for the most part, just like follow her instructions, please. But yeah. Also, I bought Gretchen's house, so we can stay there.
Let's do that.
Sounds great.
Has Thelon met Gretchen? Probably not.
No.
Realizing this, Gwen will say, Thelon, Gretchen is this gentleman who was friends with Lorelith. He's older, but he's leaving to stay with his cousin, and that's why Lorelith is sad and needed to go have some time. So I think she'll come back soon. But he really wanted Lorelith to have his house, and I think she was just sad. And so I thought maybe if I bought it, she would be interested in it later, or if not, it's just a place for us to stay for now, and I'll rent it out.
Where is Lorelith?
Yeah. Thelon, you took the words right out of my mouth.
I think she went to be with herself in the woods. I waited outside the city for her for a while, but I know she wanted space, and I wasn't going to use my mad tracking skills to find her, although I could have.
Nature is a healing place.
Nature,
so I'm sure she'll be back.
Nature is healing. I think so too. I think she just needed space, but wait, is this still the same night? We can't stay there. Gretchen is still there tonight though, so that starts tomorrow.
We can take him
to the woods.
He needs to rest. He's leaving early, but tomorrow.
I thought that Lorelith and Gwen were like a night behind. Were they not?
No, I described it in the evening until they corrected me that their time lined up well with everybody else. I made a wrong assumption. So that was all right in line with everybody else.
Never mind.
So open to ideas on where to stay.
Yeah,
I will say.
Y'all stayed at the Elisa Regional before, which costs, I think there was like 2 rooms that you could get that could house 4 people in that one for 2 gold, or if you wanted to do individual rooms, you'd be looking at something a little bit more than that. There is Cozy Cots, which, we're looking at a couple copper for that per person, but it could probably get away with like a group deal there for what's left for, less than a gold for the 4 of you. For sure. Oh yeah, y'all would just be looking for a room for 4 anyway, so that would probably be 8 silver or gold at the Elisa Regional. Yeah.
How about the Elisa Regional? Gwen, I think you have all our money, so it's like technically up to you.
Do we need to divide that? Yes.
I think you should keep it.
We can discuss that one altogether. Thelon, you interested in the Elisa Regional, or would you be more comfortable?
What does the weather look like tonight?
It's a pretty clear and comfortable night. And so are y'all having this conversation in the meeting room, or are we transitioning this to be outside? Either way, while you were walking around and see.
I think we're probably finishing the other bottle of wine.
For sure, yeah. Which there's a window in here anyway, and Thelon, you're pretty attuned with even just feeling the humidity of the air around you and getting a sense of what the weather is like too. It's very clear. It probably won't rain tonight. The temperature is pretty comfortable. It will dip where it'll get pretty cold overnight, but you're fine with making fires and doing what you need to do to stay survivable throughout all of that. It would be a good night to stay outside.
I would suggest doing that, but not at the detriment of others or for the desire to get alone. I'd just be like, I'm fine with sleeping outside. It looks like it'll be a clear night.
That is fine. Whatever you're most comfortable with.
You guys want to get some cake first?
No, I'm frozen. I'm not trying to talk. Thelon, would you mind having a camping buddy?
Not at all.
I think it would be nice to spend some time out in nature.
So I'd say we would head outside of the city walls, but not to the point where we couldn't necessarily see the city, but just away enough that we were surrounded by trees at least. Or that's the desire. We won't just
about-
leave.
What about Thule and Gwen?
Willie, do you want to camp or do you want to stay at the Elisa Regional? Do you camp?
Hey, you girls go have a girls' night.
You've got a lot of trinkets. Don't seem conducive to camping.
Thule's gonna say, yeah, probably shouldn't stay at the cozy cots with all this. I'm down for a girls' night. You want to go to the Elisa Regional?
We
I
can
think they have a spa. I'm pretty sure.
sure we can share a room at the Elisa Regional.
Sweet.
Okay, so if that covers all the conversation, everything that happens in the back room of Ocean Sea Goblets, Pilgrim and Thelon can walk through to make their way through the city outside of the gates and then get to a point just within the edge of the woods where you can see some of the very, very faint exterior torch light of some passing patrols and the way that some torches are mounted to the outside of the walls so that those that do patrol the outskirts of the city can still see between all of the different spots of light around the perimeter. And you can just make out the little tiny blips of light at this point as y'all are maybe 15 minutes walk, 20 minutes walk outside of the edge to get kind of more towards the protective wood outskirt. And Thule and Gwendolyn head towards the Elisa Regional. Pilgrim, Thelon, any conversation or setup, or how does you two getting settled in look like for the evening?
So we found our little patch.
Yeah, you found a good spot. You're very easily able to set up a camp, and all of that is taken care of well. Even hunting and food and all of that is very easy to take care of with Thelon there.
Yeah, I'd say I'd just look at Pilgrim and say hungry with a little question mark. Not necessarily too deep of a question, but hungry.
I could eat.
Would you like to accompany me to scrounge up some dinner, or would you like to start a fire and set up camp?
I'll set up the camp and await your return.
Sounds good. I'll see you shortly.
And then I set up the best camp you've ever seen.
Thelon, you're able to hunt. Pilgrim, you're able to set up camp and start a fire. What does the rest of the evening look like?
I would say that after a while of like returning, like we're sitting around the campfire, and then I'm gonna say, Thelon, may I ask you a personal question?
Of course.
When you think of your home, what do you feel?
For me, my home was more of a connection to nature than to people. So even though I may not be in my home, when I am in nature, I feel closer than most might to their home.
I wonder if it's better to find home in a place than a people. I wonder if it's perhaps less painful.
People come and people go, but nature seems to stay more consistent and predictable. Even those you love can change, but nature just seems to get more beautiful with age.
There are always caves. There are always caves. I'm afraid I don't. I'm afraid it would be easier if I found my connection in the caves themselves, but it is to my great disservice that my heart does lie with the people of my past.
We can never leave behind the people that carry weights in our hearts. And while caves may be a place of reprieve or momentary peace, I think the joy that comes from people can carry more weight at times. So while you find joy in the moment and then pain when you have to leave those people, I think sometimes that joy might be worth it.
It might be. And then I'm going to kind of lay back on my back and just kind of look up at the sky and then just say, but right now I think reprieve sounds better. And then that's gonna be it for me, I think. Just kind of staring up at the sky quietly.
Yeah. I'd say I probably stoke the fire and let the embers go up into the sky, maybe into the eye shot of Pilgrim, and then I just lay there as well. Oba beside me.
Yeah, there's this moment where Thelon is looking at Pilgrim laying completely on his back, and it's just over the fire, and those embers are kind of dancing in front of you in your way to see him clearly and straight through. And then eventually you turn over and retire with the white fox at your side. Pilgrim, as you were laying on your back and kind of at the perimeter, the edge of these woods, thinking of nature as well as future and plans, and even your relation to Numero, who his name kind of comes from, in the way that your people talk about it, the expanse of space and how countless the stars are too, that there's this idea of like infinite space, endlessness, and just that counting and keeping track can just go on forever, that knowledge itself is unending. And as you're laying on your back and you're in this moment syncing up between talking with Thelon, who's talking about the anchored finitude of nature, and then you've got this thought of your life and the constant expanding of the future and what your role with family and this kind of unanswered question is. And you're laying back and you're looking up at the sky, and half of your view is the entangled branches of the trees of these woods that y'all have been able to set up a camp in. And the other half that you see up above you is the night sky, completely clear and cloudless. And you can start to count some of the stars, which is a kind of a meditative practice of your people to being close with Numero. And there's this duality between nature and your god, even, that you can see perfectly split within the sky. And that's where y'all find rest and peace and comfort outside of the busyness of the city. Thule, Gwendolyn, what are y'all talking about?
Smash cut to the Spice Girls.
Yeah, it's probably not comparable.
Would Gwen be interested in a spa, like a mud bath or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
As long as it's not overpriced.
I would say that we are doing that.
Great. So as y'all get to the Elisa Regional, and it's at the point of night where a lot of business is being taken care of. Their lower room is running out meals and taking out dinners to some guests who have gathered from staying here. And you can see the dark furred evening breeze tabaxi running around and taking care of this space. But as she's running out some food into some tables and she's settling up a bill with some folks right as she's laying down some food, her eyes dart over towards the door. She sees you both, and I will be right back momentarily. Hello, Tuli and Gwendolyn. It is so good to have you both coming back. And hello. And she sends a hand and starts vigorously shaking and even grabbing your hands before you're ready to shake hands with her. Wonderful to have you back here at the Elisa. Is there provisions? How many of you in your party will be coming back? Anything that I can do to take care of you?
Tuli hugs her and then says,
"Welcome.
Just so good to see you evening." And she's gonna kind of turn towards Gwen as including her in this conversation and says, "Your finest room and your most affordably priced mud baths."
Oh, mud baths?
Yeah.
I will see what we can make happen. I will take care of her room very shortly. And she makes eye contact with somebody across the way and kind of hand gestures something towards them. They run up the stairs to go take care of her room. That can be handled quite swiftly. We do have more of a bathroom than a bathhouse. However, we could provide, I'm sure, very hot water and some good clean towels ready to go for any type of soaking and pampering that you may be able to do with what is provided, if that is enough for you, I ask.
That Gwen will interject before Tuli and say, "That will be just fine, and just a standard room will be okay."
Who says your finest water?
I promise it will be the best of the best that I can provide for what that is worth. And we thank you so much for choosing the Elisa Regional for all of these services that we can provide.
Of course, evening. We talk you up to all our friends.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful.
All our many, 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 many friends.
Will it be just the two of you tonight then?
Yes.
And how has, and then somebody comes up to kind of let her know about other business that they're taking care of with other tables, and she's in the middle of asking you, how has, and then they interrupt and she's like, "Go, just handle it on your own. I will be back. Just don't worry about it." How has everyone else in the party been, and how's business? Are you all doing okay?
We are well, yes. I think just resting up from the most recent business. Everyone is just kind of taking the rest space they need, and for us, that is staying here.
Resting, got it. Say no more. Message loud and clear. I will be very.
Oh, no, not that. I'm just.
No. It's fine. You're not.
Sorry, the rest of them aren't here.
You're fine. You're not saying this. I just understand. I will get you to some good, quiet space. You will get a hot bath. If you all would head up, and Jaren, please come. See them up to their room, and then lead them to the bathroom after. It will be taken care of. He will lead you down. I will get it ready here in maybe just 10 minutes or so. Go ahead, and then she passes you off to.
Tuli slaps her on the back and says, "That will be fine, evening. Just fine."
Oh, wonderful, yes. And then she just kind of darts around the room with this very quickness to her that you haven't seen her do before, but kind of just 1 foot, almost dancing, but more just being very swift, and just dodges through the room and gets through without bumping into anyone, even though a lot of people are starting to get up and move as she passes by, gets into a back room, opens it up and heads downstairs. And then this servant of the establishment, Jaren, then just turns over, and you can see this very young, maybe 15-year-old boy, very rounded cheeks and short brown hair kind of tossed off to the side. She says, "I can take you up to your room now."
Thanks, Jared.
Great. Okay. Then he kind of hobbles up the stairs and unlocks the door, kind of peeks in real quick. "Yes, this one is ready and good to go. Feel free to settle down with your things, and there's a couple of beds here, and I'll give you a knock when the room downstairs is ready."
Thanks, Jared. And I'll tip him a copper. I don't know. Things like that.
Thank you so much. And then he puts it in a little pocket.
I don't know. Is that I don't know what they tip them.
I'll be up soon.
I'm really bad with fantasy money.
Well, that's not good because you have all of ours.
One time I paid like 30 gold for a lockpick set. So I don't know.
Just paid 25 gold for a home, so you can tell me how that worked out for you.
It was a 15 to 20 gold house, and I was being nice.
Tuli jumps on the bed and like flops. And then she kind of like rolls over onto her stomach and like puts her hands like this and is like kicking her feet. And she says, so are you excited to work with Treya again? She's like y'all's boss, your family's boss?
Yes. Well, I mean, not so much. Again, I don't know that there's been a break in, enrollment necessarily, but yes, Treya is very great. It is an exciting opportunity that she has given us.
Tuli starts like kind of like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
I said, just very rare.
Tuli says, wow. And she's like looking down at the cover on the bed and kind of like tracing a shape on it with her finger. And she like looks up, she doesn't look at Gwen and she's like, are you close with your family?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty close. Just, kind of busy here in the city while they're working on Trey's estate, but I go back sometimes for evenings and help like manage events at the winery. I don't really think the Displacer beasts would be very cohesive to the environment there, but more like upscale things I've helped.
Not super on brand.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't see them as much now that I'm here in the city, but go back every few weeks or so and help out.
Tuli says, wow. So you can see them anytime. That's great. And she's kind of still like trusting.
I guess being on the same plane, that's easier. I'm sorry.
Boy, howdy, is it? And she kind of like is still tracing and she says, also, I kind of like, if I went back, I probably would be killed. So, and she still like keeps tracing. She's like furtively glancing up at you like she wants you to ask.
Gwen is so uncomfortable. Killed by your family?
No, Tuli like kind of rolls up and like sits cross-legged and says, well, since you asked, and says that, so I come from a city where basically it's like massive like demon population. But anyway, that's not important, believe it or not. I attend a school, or I was trained in a school. Everyone who has any kind of magical ability is trained in these schools. I had a master whose name was Jigyasu. Everyone takes their master's names at the school as their last name. So my name's Tuli Jigyasu. Anyway, and she's like rambling. And she says, there was basically a rival student who, this is a very cutthroat school, very get ahead type of place. And there was a rival student who her master hates my master. And long story short, she basically tried to kill me like 5 different times. And then eventually she framed me for murder. I got run out of town and here we are. All this to say, I don't know how my family is or if they're even still alive after this kind of coup, but I'm really glad that I met you guys. And that's all she says.
Does she seem like, what do I perceive that her like mood is? Like, does she just seem like relieved that she's telling someone, or does she seem really deeply sad?
She
like normal Tuli.
She seems a little bit like her hair has like dimmed a little bit. you sense that she wants to connect with you on a deeper level than just like superficial, and that she would welcome any comfort. But she's also like really unsure. She's not expecting anything.
That is a more difficult path than most walk.
And that was perfect. Tuli like perks right up and like looks at you and says, "Thank you." And then she says, "I'm sure it's hard managing a business with family, you know, like corporate and family life. That sounds really tough."
Tuli is so Rachel.
I hope not.
I hope your family's okay, and hope that you can find out if they're okay in such a way that you are not killed.
Tuli kind of like cartwheels off the bed and like cracks her knuckles, and she says, "That's what I'm training for," and does like a 1-2 punch kind of thing. And then she says, how about those water baths?
Yeah, that sounds good. Would you like to take the bees with you?
I mean, do you want to come too?
Oh yeah, I'm going to.
Okay, good. Yes, let's bring them then. Your friends are my friends.
They're very soothing.
Okay, Tuli, it clicks with Tuli what you were trying to do. And she looks at you and goes, "For me?"
Yeah, just like, you know, they can be good to hold on to for a bit.
Tuli like gently takes them from you and says, "Gwen, I'm really glad that I met you." And then that's all she says.
I'm just gonna pat her and say, with her lack of social skills, a lot of people would be sad if you went back to your fiery plane and died.
Little glistening, like steam-filled tears start filling Tuli's eyes, and she's like, "This is the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me." And she's like holding the bee super close, and she says, "I'd be really sad if like you got promoted and had to like go stay at the winery too, you know." And then that's all.
And one of the bees says, "Buzz."
And on that note,
So a very hot bath with a couple of like tin basins set up, and y'all can have a good continual conversation that kind of dives more into the superficial, but gets a little bit deeper and kind of bounces back and forth, but in a way that the superficial conversation is a little more comforting and relaxing, knowing that y'all have covered some good ground. And even then, the superficial conversations just feel a lot deeper with this like knowledge of each other too. So eventually everyone can retire to bed, unless Sally/Laura wants to add anything about her evening, which seems good. We just move through.
I did have something. Yes. While I'm sitting there, eventually I kind of like put down my whittling stick, and I pull out the diary that Thelon gave me forever ago.
Yep.
And kind of spend some time meditating on that and reading through it and thinking through it before going back to my whittling, and then eventually going to sleep.
Right. Perfect. Sounds good. And so with that, the evening is restful for everyone, and you're able to sleep through and get to, for Tuli's sake, a much more sound night and a better feeling morning to afternoon than the day before. And for everyone else, the solitude, the kind of silence and quiet and space to process that you were looking for at least for this night, and any more that is needed you will be able to sort through. But at this point, we are just going to break more into a bit of a freer spans of time. And so we've got 10-ish days with the development of the new planned estate, and we can talk through after this episode and stuff, and kind of work through what individual rooms will look like as you kind of write up your requests for what the half home Halfway home. No, not that. Whatever we decide that place is going to be called. But any designs and requests for that we can take care of between now and between episodes. And anything else that you would like to do with some space and time, individual conversations you'd want to have with each other or other NPCs, lots and lots of time to work through. We will also level up to level 6 during this time too. So we can kind of manage that now if you want to do some role-playing stuff while other people are leveling up, vice versa, whatever. However this looks, it's best for y'all. If anyone has like a scene or a thing that they'd like to play out, we can start that while some people are leveling up, and we can work through some questions around that too. Very open, whatever y'all are feeling.
At some point along this time, I would take the smallest scrap of paper and write underground cave for meditation and get it back to the people that requested it.
Right. Anything particular for like your room or a place that would be more like your bedroom and stuff like that?
No, the thought, okay, so it's not as much of a joke. I would write more about it, but basically just like a space that's under the place that's like essentially like pilgrims pulling from his memories in the underground caverns of like basically like a sort of underground spring or something, where there would just be like, it's a cave, there's a quiet little pool of water, and it was a place that he and his family would go to connect with Numero and be quiet, and it was just a spot from his past. And so just creating a space that he can actually try to clear the fog like the path. Mm-hmm. And not just him, but whoever would want to come down there and meditate. So that's the thought process.
Great.
Would you sleep there as well? Or would you have a room also?
I think I would have a room. I guess I thought that the building that was being built had a bunch of rooms.
It does, but you have some say in what those rooms will look like or how they're designed or decorated even, if you want to. Otherwise, it can be very basic and standard. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't think I necessarily have any preference.
Cool.
I have something in mind, but I want to give other people a chance to do what they want to do.
The only other thing, and we can file this away with whatever order we want to do all this in, but I would want to continue the thread of meeting with Fairgrand to think through what to do about the Huskstone shards. But
yeah, we can be that soon for sure.
Great, but that's it for me.
Yeah, Thelon, did you have something too?
I think for my room, I would want where the wall that would be on the outer side of the house would be gone, and it would almost go out into like an overhanging area with like a living wall out there. So just lots of plants growing, no like sort of feeling stuck inside. So the ability to stay inside if the weather was bad, but also the ability to sleep in a hammock outside if desired. So almost like French doors, but it was like always open.
Yeah, it's kind of like a balcony, but that it can be fully opened in a way that gives you open access to the outdoors, but if need be, you can close it off.
Yeah.
Great. Any other immediate thoughts for like the way that this time would be used? I think one of the first things we might immediately jump into would be like Lorelith coming back and interacting with some folks, maybe getting that conversation going. But any other things to just have on the radar to kind of work through at some point?
I would see who wants like their share of the money and who would not from the group. I'm sure Misery would want his. So yeah, just to see who like wanted theirs and who didn't. It sounds like Tully wanted me to hold on to hers, which is fine. But probably some people taking theirs would be good in case I like get killed, so all the money's not on me. And yeah, I don't know about right now, but when the opportunity presents itself and makes sense, I would talk to Lorelith about Grinjon's house, but I don't know that would be like right now. It will depend on how she's doing. And I think, just generally we'll need to start like figuring out equipment for Dust Forge, which we said we would get back to Treya within the next 24 hours about if Misery and Lorelith were going. So we need to do that. And then just determine, like, will she get us, like, equipment, winter clothes type or cooler weather and cave clothes type things, or if we're supposed to do that. Just another thing on the radar. Yeah, just for planning.
Got it. Julie, what was your, like, thing that you wanted to do or accomplish or have during this time too?
So there's two things. One of them, like very quickly, broadly, is Julie still has the Threadweaver's ring.
Yeah.
And so she knows that Anivia is the one who spoke to her in that vision that she shared with everyone. And so she would want to go to the library and just research about Anivia and share that with the group. So whatever she finds out, that's just broadly. And then the other thing is she would continue her side hustle with the guards.
Yeah.
And just whatever comes out of that.
Great. Cool. Noted. And then Sally, Lorelith, we can kind of hop into anything you want to lead or start to.
Leveling my character up. Sorry.
Okay. No, you're good. So while you're doing that, I think we can hop into, let's see.
Are Pilgrim and I still hanging out in the woods?
Oh yeah, you can just kind of transition that in the morning.
Okay. I would say I woke up early to go and catch some fish. Do I have any bread in my pack?
You've been out for a long time, so having
probably not.
Baked bread would be
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just go and catch some fish and stoke the coals from the night before. Maybe lay another log on to catch fire, but the embers are still there from the night before, and it's a good way to cook the fish in the morning. And throw some mushrooms on there as well as some other herbs and whatnot that I may have found, and just kind of sit there and watch the fire. And I know that Michael loves looking at fire and seeing the black to the blue to the orange to the yellow. And so I know that Thelon would love to just, again, kind of gaze into the mystery of nature, even though his task at hand was making breakfast. He kind of loses himself in the mystery and the design of nature. And so he just kind of sits there and cooks up some fish while he just kind of enjoys the beauty of the coals and the flame as they almost look like a modern day TV or something to him.
I wake up too, but not as early, and to the smell of wonderful mushrooms. And I sit up and I thank Thelon for getting the food ready, and then I eat quietly while also looking into the fire. For 10 days.
For 10 days. I would say maybe Thelon looks over at Pilgrim and says, if you're up for it, would you tell me more about this place that you call home? Or what is home to you? Like that kind of almost mysterious kind of vibe of, what is home to you?
When looks into the fire for a while, and then after a little bit, just kind of like slowly nodding, says, home was with my clan, my people, We were the Karisa clan. We lived underground. We mined huskstone, what we just recently battled. We shaped it and we formed it to do wondrous things, to preserve consciousness and to deepen in our own abilities, and it was a beautiful place. But I swiftly learned that all was not as it seemed, and there were some among my people that were using these husk stones, these sacred relics, to monstrous ends, to not continue life, but to extinguish life. And I could not stay. And so I left, and it was not an easy or a peaceful exit. And I left many behind, and there are some that could still be seeking me out from my clan, but I'm afraid that something happened, something that I still cannot fully recall, but it has greatly clouded my memory. It has greatly damaged my recollection of that time. But there are some sensations, there are some memories, there are some feelings that have broken through the fog as time has gone on. And so I do remember more of the faces of my clan. I remember the face of my brother. I remember sights and sounds in a way that a mere week ago, before my time with the half dozen, were only fog. But I'm afraid that I have felt great pain and great loss over the last few days. So while I am still trying to connect these feelings to direct memories and to direct moments in time, it is a slow process, but this is what I remember now.
Thelon takes 2 sticks that he's kind of using as chopsticks and takes a bite of fish, as he just kind of processes what Pilgrim said, and says, like, while those memories are hard and confusing of the place that you left, I hope they never leave, because they clearly have helped form you as a person you are today. I respect your decision to leave, as you saw that life was being taken. As a druid, I love life. I love the process of life. And oftentimes it requires death to create life. So even though it may seem as though there has been a death to your past or your ties to your family, I hope that you can find life now, even a short time after, with the people that you've met. And even knowing you for just a short bit, I can see your character and respect you. I can say that while you may miss your clan, I feel as though a new clan may be forming with our friends.
When he kind of says the thing about like a new clan, I sort of wince very slightly, but then smile and look to him. and say, I hope that's true. I hope it can be true. I want it to be true. And then I just kind of look back to the fire, and then I'm going to just kind of start mage handing flaming little sticks and just kind of twirling them sort of slowly and kind of pondering them, and then just sort of meditating on that in silence again.
I do the same, just sitting there, respecting the conversation, and just being joyful as I think about a life with new friends. And as I stare into the fire, instead of blowing in it to generate more flames, I just generate wind as well to keep the embers going. And even though the fish are already off of the fire, I know that it's kind of the thing that allows our minds to separate from the moment, stare at the fire and be alone with our thoughts. And we're just kind of, there, but also not there in our thoughts.
Great. You can hear the birds of the morning kind of entering the day and kind of announcing its beginning in this silence that you all take to continue to look at the fire and continue to think through and process. And as you are getting your stuff gathered, or however you wish to proceed with your day. Stephen. And
this bird landing on a twig. It's day now.
I homebrew the world, and for there to be a bird that announces the mornings, a bird that announces the afternoons, and a bird that announces the evenings, that would be so convenient for an entire.
Right? Why do we tell them? We just wait for that bird to scream lunch at everyone and we start eating lunch. That's how it works here.
Right. Lorelith, I would love to see how your kind of days progress at this point as you are out and about, whether you stay secluded or seek or stumble upon anyone. Entirely up to you, but where are you at?
So I, was taking time to read through the diary that Thelon gave me again, and was just I read that some and whittled on a little stick some more. Went to sleep, curled up next to Wolfie, next to Strokoth, and woke up the next morning and decided to start looking around, kind of exploring for some more vegetables and things like that to be able to make a breakfast while Wolfie's by my side looking for some breakfast for his own. And I certainly am not in search of anyone from the party. I'm just kind of out in the woods. But whoa, look at that. Do I stumble upon two people that I do not want to see?
Thelon, I think you just kind of pick up on it and you can hear some rustling of leaves and some movement, and out of the periphery you can look over. You just make out through maybe 5 or 6 layers of trees kind of deep out there, Lorelith seeking out some foliage and her wolf at her side as well.
I knew they were there. I wouldn't say anything per se. I would stare in that direction and wait for eye contact. And if it happened, then gesture, just kind of saying, "You're welcome," but I also understand your processing. So kind of, a gesture with no words.
I think as I keep wandering, and I think at the point that he sees me, I still don't see them because I'm just kind of still so in my head about everything that's happened over the past couple days, and just kind of processing. But as I get closer and still looking for things, I think at a certain point, Wolfie recognizes that they're there and and runs over to them because they are now his allies and his friends. And he kind of like runs over to them, and so I kind of run behind him to catch up with him and happen upon anyone but is Thelon and Pilgrim, and there they are.
Yeah, Wolfie, the first to initiate connection, runs over and immediately starts wrestling around and playing with Oba. And the two of them just happy to see each other again, kind of almost forces this moment with Lorelith to bring her to follow Wolfie and see a couple of her allies as well.
Thelon will grab Wolfie and kind of scratch behind his ears, and then grab the fish skin from the breakfast this morning and offer it up as a treat for good skin for the dog, for the wolf.
As I kind of like run up behind Wolfie and see what he's happened upon, I kind of slow down as I get closer and hang back a little bit, but walk up and I'm like, oh, hey, you guys.
Hey, you guys.
Not often have you all seen Lorelith kind of isolated in her own element, but it is hard to make her out. And though Thelon, you did hear her, she's wearing her like dark greenish brown robes and the bones and stuff that ornament her as well. Though she's walking slowly and kind of joining in, and the periphery, she very easily blends into the nature around her, as well as she does look very intimidating with the hood up and the bone skull up on her head, and even now her expression just being very kind of downcast and all of that too. It's a very different side of Lorelith that you all see. Is now it's not, you all have been like moving and traveling together, but here is this moment where she's been kind of off on her own, and walking in to join in just has a different feel where you're seeing this other side of her that usually is just the other folks that you're interacting with.
I would say that hearing the running of Wolfie, Pilgrim looks away from his fire twiddling, and after a little bit of intentional searching out, sees Lorelith with her hood up and all that, and Pilgrim just gives a small smile and kind of a quiet acknowledgement, and then sort of almost like a welcoming like head tilt towards the fire, and then goes back to what he was doing with his twigs.
Thelon looks at Lorelith and just says, "Hungry?"
Yeah, I was actually looking for some breakfast when we happened upon you guys. So what if you have anything to share, that's cool. If not, no worries.
There's some mushrooms left, and I'll go and fetch you a fish. And I get up and head to the water before she can say no, unless you don't want fish.
I don't eat fish.
She doesn't eat fish. You only eat vegetables?
Yeah, she's a vegetarian.
All right, well, then you just crush the rest of the mushrooms.
And so I kind of sit down, settle into the mushrooms. Kind of like look up at you and go.
They're good. They're hen of the woods. They're hard to find, but I know where to get them.
Nice. I look up at you and I'm like, these are the good ones. As I'm eating them.
I just nod and kind of sit there and allow her the mental space to start conversation or to just be amongst people that she knows while not saying anything.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say, but I'll sit here. I'll eat my mushrooms. I'll let Wolfie play with Oba.
We'll give you all a rest and let that sit for a moment and have you all at the fire. Was there something else you wanted to add? Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, after a while, I think I eventually kind of am like, wait, I'm trying to think. I was gonna say, part of me wants to be like, oh well, gotta go clean up my camp, but I would have done that. I wouldn't have left all my stuff there.
Yeah.
So I have no reason to talk. Never mind. I take
Good. We can let y'all just sit there for a minute. Tuli and Gwendolyn, how does y'all? I'm sure your morning starts early. Gwendolyn, I know you have plans. Tuli, I know you're kind of different, but we'll see how your morning starts.
Tuli would have woken up early to meditate.
Oh, great.
So she is doing that.
Gwendolyn, you see that when you wake up?
I have plans.
That's when Grungeon was going to be taking care of like the deed and getting ready to move out of the city and stuff.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize I had to. He said he would leave the deed on the table. I didn't realize it was a meeting, but I can go over there. Sure.
Yeah. Like that would be kind of like a formal government thing. Sorry, I didn't really speak that very clearly. Nor would have Grungeon because he was very sleepy at the time too. So forgive us both. To be able to sign over the deed and kind of work through stuff like that too. He was heading over to the archive to do that, to sell it over to the government. But for your sake and kind of working that through, he set that up and was going to have somebody meet y'all at his house in the morning. So you can just head there.
Okay.
Tuli, do you want to join for that too, or are you hanging out at the room just for consistency's sake?
Did I have like a required shift time to show up to the guards? Or like, I like to think I would have told them that I am contracted by the government and so in 10 days I'll be gone, but I can on a guard trip.
Yeah.
But do I need to show up to the garrison or something like that?
For sure. So Treya said that she was going to work through getting that up to the command of the guard so that it would be worked into your shift and your role that you would be kind of sent off to do that. That's not separate from your role of being the guard, that you would kind of work that in to be part of your role of the guard. But between then and now, you are kind of ready to go with some shifts of patrolling the city. And so kind of the first thing that you would be ready to do is to go to meet your partner who you are going to be on patrol with at the gate of the city today in the morning once things do get started. So that is part of your new routine as part of these 10 days.
Well, then I would say, Gwen, you want to grab some breakfast before we split ways? Just wanting to grab a quick pastry, and then I would go to my shift.
Sure.
It's very food oriented.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah, great. And breakfast is part of y'all's room that y'all got here. You couldn't help but notice that Evening Breeze did not charge you for the room. They got everything set up and kind of moved that through. And so you're even able to grab a quick bite this morning from what's been provided for breakfast for residents of the Elisa Regional, and head on to your day as well as very cherished guests.
I'm going to go ahead and say Tuli does not notice that. For what that's worth.
Is Evening Breeze there? Or gone because she was working the night before?
Yeah, she's not there personally this morning, but some of the other staff are, of course.
Okay. We'll just thank them, I guess, and leave.
Okay. Cool. Julie, you get set up and you meet none other than Hank Troutman himself, your contracted partner to be on patrol outside of the city. And so he greets you and introduces himself and just kind of explains and walks through what the next couple hours of this morning shift are going to be as you patrol the outskirts of the city, and we'll be walking kind of the perimeter between the woods and the city to just kind of make sure that no critters or dangerous things get from the woods like this cat and around and bothering any of the townsfolk or farmers or folks that are around the outskirts. Gwendolyn, for your sake, and you head towards Grenjin's, as you get over to the house, and you can hear even from the door before you knock that there are a couple of voices inside. And so when you do open the door, there's a tall, kind of copper-skinned male with a green emerald cape draped over his shoulder, very much more decorative armor and vestments rather than more functional for fighting at his rank at the table with Grungeon just set up. And as he turns over, you can also see kind of deeper wrinkled lines to his face and even a lot more salt than pepper in his hair. Just kind of older, more seasoned, stationed guard who is now in a higher rank and less combative role, is now more of a kind of carrier on of such legal matters like selling of a home. And so as he's talking with Grungeon's walking through and just kind of talking through his travel plans and his love for the city of Populous, as this guy looks a little more impatient, just kind of leaning off to the wall and arms crossed, just listening to Grungeon talk and nodding along and just kind of giving some vagues like, oh, interesting, and other commentary like that as Grungeon is talking through his memories of this house in the city.
I thought I was going to walk in and Grungeon was going to be dead. So I'm glad that's not true.
Why are y'all like this?
You were like, you go there and there's people in it. And it's spooky. Okay, I knock on the door.
And here she is herself. This is Glenn, and Glenn will be buying the home. I'll be signing it off to her. If we could just be getting that moving, I could be heading out pretty soon. And as you walk in, and Grungeon steps back, you can see on the main table here, there's a little note which you can't read yet as you walk forward, but there's also a cake with the entire city of Populous iced up and set up in a way to kind of commemorate this moment in his home. And he just smiles and says, "Glenn, I'm so excited for this." And oh, is Lorelith not with you?
No, she hasn't come back yet. I was hoping she would be here to say goodbye, but she will love to see this cake.
I'm sure. And you can see that his eyes look a little watery, but he just picks up an envelope from the table and walks it over to you and puts it in your hand and shakes your hand and just says, "Would you see that this letter gets to her then?"
Absolutely. Yes.
I see. Well then, Fred, if we could work through the details of this, we can then sign off the home and I'll be on my way. And the warden of the guard just, of course, yes, well then let's carry through. And the selling price of the home would be, and Grungeon just looks over and looks back, and the selling price was 15 gold. And the guard nods and then starts to scribe through. He dips a feathered quill that he had in his vest in a bottle of ink and kind of signs through and completes some of the blanks on this contract and works through and writes Grungeon's name out, and then looks over and kind of hands the quill over. Would you sign as the new owner of this place?
Good. I'm glad he's letting me sign it. Yeah, I'll sign it.
Great. And then as you fill out the contract, looks up, Grungeon, I wish you safe travels on your trip to Bounty Faith. And he looks down and just kind of his forehead gets kind of really crinkled, and he looks down at the line, looks at Grenjan for a moment. Gwendolyn, this record will be kept at the archive, and we will be able to process this. Congratulations on your new home here at Populous. You're officially a citizen here in Populous too. And so we will work through this paperwork and get that good to go. And we'll get you all of your copies and things that you need sent here at this address.
I'm so triggered. Oh, that's my nonsense. I will thank him and shake his hand.
Great. Well, carry on and take care of whatever business you have left. And again, safe travels. And Grenjan nods and says thank you. And then the guard leaves, and you now have yourself a deed to an estate that will be on record in the Populous archive.
I feel like
I just said
something.
Sorry, a humble home.
An estate, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That feels ominous. I feel like you tricked me into something. Anyway, okay, Grenjan has the money from last night. Gwen having a very socially awkward and not wanting to mostly not wanting to pry into other people's business, but also knowing what it means to have family that you care about and miss and love and everything. She's gonna give Grenjan an embrace and say, that's from Lorelith, even if she doesn't know it yet. It's from her.
I understand completely, and thank you.
She lets go.
Great. Okay.
Looking for too long.
Unlike the bear hug that Pilgrim gave Savarin. Got it, yeah. So unless there's anything else you want to say, he will go ahead and proceed and get ready. Just kind of gets to the door frame and looks back in it while you're standing there by the table with the cake and the letter in your hands. And he looks up towards the rafters and the walls of the home. At this point, tears are running down his face, and he puts his hand up on the door frame, and you can see he just mutters a couple of words that he can't quite make out, but he's saying something to someone or to the house itself, and lets out a deep breath and then turns out towards the road and starts to load up in his wagon.
She'll help him load up if it makes sense.
Yeah.
And just generally, thank him and wish him well and tell him he's welcome back anytime, day or night.
He appreciates that, and it's great to hear. And we'll be sure to write, and if he does decide to make a trip, that y'all would know as well. Great. Well, you're very sad, but appropriate point to end the episode too. So, with some folks gathered outside of the city and talking with each other, kind of processing, and other folks scattered throughout the city within, and Julie on a new job patrolling around and keeping the city safe. We've got lots more time to work through and get this party ready to go. Welcome and congratulations to level 6. If there are any questions or part of that process I can help out with, let me know. And then I'll collect other house development stuff for the SRO, now to be half dozen home outside of the city too.
How do I level up to 6?